So basically, what is a function? It has this some certain statements to be executed, right? So first of all, we need to learn the elements of user-defined function. So basically, there are three elements of user-defined function. Those are function call or function declaration or function prototype or signature of the function call, and the function definition. Right? So we'll see everything line by line. First of all, we need to understand what is declaration and definition. So we all know that when we just declare a function, that means we are telling compiler that this prototype is going to be expanded into its definition and going to be used in the further program. But when we provide the logic to that declaration of the function, that becomes definition, right? So whenever we are just declaring the function, it won't allocate the memory. But when we are providing the logic according to the number of variables and executable statements, the function definition is being given memory, right? So this is the example of just function declaration, and this is the example of function definition when we provide the pair of curly brackets and write the executable statements. Okay. Now, function prototype. What is the need of function prototype? So, function prototype or the declaration provides the following purposes. It tells the return type of the data the function will return, right? So, return type of the function. It tells the number of arguments passed to the function. It tells the data type of each passed arguments, and it tells the order in which the parameters are passed, right? So basically, what are the important things? Number of arguments, types of arguments, and order of arguments. So we need to understand those as well. So yes,
some slide is not changing.
slide is not changing. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Just give me a minute. Okay, so I'll have to just switch from this meet to that slide because I have to admit students as well. Okay, so bear with me for a little time. Now, can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Okay. Now, why do we write the prototype or the declaration of the function? So that we can adjust in our mind that what we have to give to the function as input and what we have to expect from the function as output, right? So basically that is the main scenario. Then how we can write a function declaration? So first thing we need is a function header. So first of all, in function header we have to write the return type like this. Now we all know that return type of the function can be any of the basic data type, right? Then we have to write the function name, means that function name is an identifier like this, and in the round brackets we pass the parameter list like this. So at the time of function declaration, it is not necessary to write the variable names, but when we are expanding the declaration into definition, then compulsorily we need to write the variable names as the parameter list, right? So this is nothing but the function header. And at the end, we provide the semicolon. Now, the second element is function call. Now, how you can call a function? A function call is a postfix expression in which operand is a function name and operator is parameter list, which contains the actual parameters. We have already learned actual parameters and formal parameters, but we'll see that as well. So this is the example of function call. This same function has been called over here with two parameters a and b, right? When a compiler encounters a function call, the control is transferred to the function sum. Then it's executed line by line, and control is transferred back to the main function from where it was called. The third is function definition. So if from function header, if we remove the semicolon, provide the pair of curly brackets and write down the executable statements, then it becomes the function definition. So basically it contains two parts, function header and function body, right? So in that function definition, we can write, or we might write, local declaration and the function statements. So this is function definition, in which first we need to write the header by removing the semicolon, provide the pair of curly brackets, and write down the local declaration and statements and complete the curly brackets. So this is the logic of the function. Now the main part was parameter passing to a function. So basically what is formal and what is actual parameters. So let's see this example so we understand properly. We have a function named max with two integer variables. You can see that it is not mandatory providing variable names, but I have done it. Over here, the same variable names are available. Now you can see that in our execution starts from main. There are two variables, local variables a and b, with 10 and 20 value respectively. Both of them are of integer data type. Over here I'm calling the function max with both the variables a and b, and whatever, you can see that the function max is returning an integer data. So to catch that integer data returned from the max function, I need a integer variable. So that's why I have integer written, integer m equals to max function call, right? So whatever is max function going to return will be stored into local variable m and will be printed on the screen. So whenever the function is encountered, what will happen? The control will transfer to the definition of the function, right? So the value of local variable a will be pasted into the local variable x, and the value of local variable b will be pasted into local variable y. Now you can understand that this a and b are local to main function. The scope of a and b variables are only main function, and the scope of x and y variable are in the max function, right? So the comparison is happening between integer x and y, right? So this is happening between x and y. Clear? So whatever we have passed as value, according to that the maximum will be found and it will be written. So according to this example, y is max, so the value of y is being written. So in over here the value will be pasted and that value will be stored into m, right? So this red colored parameters are formal parameters, and at the time of function call, whatever we are passing are actual parameters, right? So you know the difference. Now this passing of parameters, we have learned two ways of passing the parameters. First was pass or call by value, and another was pass or call by address. Let's see both in details, but in C++ we have third method as well. We'll learn that. What is pass or call by value? In this example only, this is pass or call by value. So when we pass something as parameter and we haven't taken address into consideration, so only values are being copied and pasted into the another variable, right? So in this parameter passing method, values of actual parameters are copied to functions formal parameters, and the two types of parameters are stored in different memory location. So any changes made inside functions are not reflected in actual parameters of caller function, right? So let's see this example. The execution starts from main. We have this local variable x with 20 value into another location, stored into another location. We call the function fun with value 20. So whenever control turns to here, what will happen? The local variable x value will be pasted into local variable this x, right? So right now the value of x is 20. But what we are doing in the next statement, that we are just overwriting the value of local variable x to fun to 30, right? And after this line, the control returns over here in the main. But when we come over here, we are not returning anything. We have not taken address into consideration. So when you come back into main function, still the value of x will remain 20 because it is pass or call by value, and the both x addresses are different. So when you print the value of x in this line, it will give you 20 because this is call by value. Okay. Now another one is call by address. So both actual and formal parameters refer to same locations. So any changes made inside the function are actually reflected into actual parameters of caller function. Okay. Parameters are always passed by value in C. However, in C we can use pointers, and however in C++ as well we can use pointers to get effect of pass by address, right? So let's see this example. Starts from execution starts from main. This is local variable x with 20 value. Now instead of only x, we pass the %x. That means we are passing the address of x. Okay. Now as we are passing the address will be pointed by only pointer. Right now x is of integer type, so the pointer must be of integer type. So that's why this at this time, how will be the value given? Integer star ptr equals to %x, right? Now this ptr is pointing to the location x which has the value 20. Now using the pointer, we are trying to update the value star ptr equals to 30. That means what we are doing, we are trying to update the value at location which is the value of this pointer. So when you come back to main, when the control is written back to main, when you try to print the value x over here, it will print 30 because there is only one location, and user defined function has pointer which is pointing to that location. So it is called by address. Okay, you can see the clear difference. We are passing address of x. Okay. Now the third way is pass by reference. You must have learned reference variable in your lab sessions. Can you tell me how many practicals have been done?
10.
10, right? So I guess sixth practical was called by like a reference variable. I guess sixth or something like that way. Practical was, yeah, reference variable. So what is a reference variable? Can you tell me?
Ma'am, it is a variable that will point to some another variable.
It will point to another variable. Anybody else?
To the address, ma'am.
No, over here there is no address involved. Can anybody else tell me what is reference variable? Okay, so reference variable means it is just an alternate name of existing variable. I'll give you a simple example that we all have a proper name at our school and colleges, means our workplaces or the study places, but you might have nicknames given by your friends and family. See, the person remains same, but that person is referred by different names. So that is nothing but reference variable. That means to the same location, you are providing another names. Same location, different names. Okay, so that is reference variable. So in C++, you can pass argument by reference as well. But the thing is, location remains same, just different names of locations are being referred. Okay, the syntax of reference variable is data type, then we write down ampersand reference name equals to existing variable name, right? Now the call by reference method of passing argument to a function copies the reference of an argument into the formal parameter. Inside the function, the reference is used to access the actual argument used in the call. This means that changes made to the parameter affects the passed argument as well, because we are referring to the same location. To pass the value by reference, argument reference is passed to the function just like any other value. So accordingly, you need to declare the function parameters as reference type. So let's see this example of swapping two numbers. You can see that it starts from main. We have two local variables a and b with values 100 and 200. We are just printing the value before swap. I'm calling the function. See, over here we do not have to incorporate address. Okay, over here we have to normally call the function with normal variables, and after that what will happen, the control will go to function swap. You can see that this a and b, the value of a and b, there are some locations of a and b, right? Now what is happening, the location a is getting a new name x, means not it, they are not replacing a and b and given new name x and y, but they are given new names, a nicknames or an alternate name x and y, right? So this statements will become integer ampersand x equals to a, integer ampersand y equals to b. So a and b are basically existing variables, and x and y are respectively given alternate names to a and b variables, right? And the swapping is happening as the normal variables. We have taken a temp variable, temp equals to x equal to y equals to temp, and we are just normally swapping the values, right? So what's happening, a and x are pointing to same location, b and y are pointing to same location. So after swapping, when you return back to this function, you will get 200 and 100 as output, right? So this will be your call by reference. Now if you are calling by reference, you can return by reference as well. How you can return by reference? So in C, what we do is, when you return some value, so to catch that value, we normally take variable on the left hand side of the equal to sign, right? But if we are talking about return by reference, so if we are returning something from the function, we can write function call on the left hand side of the equal to sign as well. To catch that return value, we can write the function call as well. Let's see this example. Let's see this example first. We have a global variable n. The value of global variable is 0. Integer ampersand test. This means that function is returning something by reference. Okay, it's not returning address, but it is returning something by reference, because if a function is going to return some address, that means it should have been a pointer, right? So it's not the case over here, it is returning by reference. Okay, execution starts from main. What we have written over here is a function call equals to 5. We have not seen this type of syntax in C language, but it is there in C++. And what we are doing is we are just trying to print the value of n. Now, whenever this function call is encountered, what will happen? It will return to this statement. Over here, there is just n, written n, right? So basically, whenever you see this kind of program, you understand that we are just returning the value of n over here, right? But as it is written by reference, it doesn't return by value, but it returns the variable itself. Okay, it returns the variable itself. So in this line, the statement will be like, after execution of this after execution of this function, this line will become n equals to 5. because as it is written n and it is written by reference, the variable itself is being written. So it will become n equals to 5. So we are changing the value of n from 0 to 5. And at the end we get C out 5. C out n. So we get 5 as answer. So function can return a reference in a similar way as it returns a pointer. When a function returns a reference, it returns an implicit pointer to its reference value. This way, a function can be used on left side of an assignment statement. In this this program, the written type of function test is integer ampersand. Hence, this function returns by reference. The return statement is written n, but unlike written by value, this statement doesn't return value of n. Instead, it returns variable n itself. That's why we can write the function on the left hand side of the assignment statement. So whenever a variable is being written, it actually returns variable itself. So we can we can actually get some new value of that variable and we can work furthermore. The only one thing is, see, if this n would have been local to test function, then when you try to return the variable n and when you try to access it over here, it won't allow, right? So one thing you need to keep in mind that the variable which you want to return by reference must be a global variable. That means the scope should be bigger than the main and the user defined function. And what is bigger scope than from main and the user defined function is global. So that variable must be globally declared. Okay, so this is the thing written by reference. Now, let's talk about structure. You know what is a structure? Structure is a collection of different data types in under same name. Okay. How we write structure? We first write struct keyword, provide the structure name, and in between the curly brackets, we provide the members of the structure, and at the end, we provide the semicolon. Now, how you can access the structure members? First of all, you need to create structure variable, and then using dot operator, you can access the structure members, right? Now let's see, if you want to pass structure as a function argument, is it allowed? Yes, it's allowed because structure is also data type, not basic data type, but it is a user defined data type, right? But if you want to access the structure members, you must have the variable, right? So structure name becomes the data type and structure variable we can use for accessing the structure members, right? So it is similar to the basic data type. If you want to assign some value into basic variable, then you first have declared that variable, assign the value, and furthermore you can use it. So let's see this example. We have structure person with the name, age, and salary as its members. We have a function void display data with person as its argument. Okay, now person is nothing but a structure person, right? So this is a prototype of the function. That means the function is going to have structure as its parameter. Now execution starts from main person p. So p is a variable of person structure. Now what we have done is we have taken values from user. Now if you see this cin.get, you might get confused that what is this. So get is a function used with cin object like this using dot operator. If you remember in scanf, that in scanf after blanks, after white spaces, the input is discarded. So if you want to take big string, then you must use getAs function. But in C++, instead getAs we use cin.get. So cin.get has two parameters. First is variable in which you want to store the value, means the string, and comma, that how many continuous characters you want to scan from the user. So up that is a maximum number of characters. So whenever user is trying to provide input up to 50 characters, compiler will continuously scan from the user. So even if you provide 10 blank spaces, that also will be considered. So this is cin.get function. Okay, now we have taken inputs from the user, and what we are doing is we are calling the function display data, and we are providing the p variable, structure variable, as the argument. So what will happen, the control will turn to display data function, and whatever value is there in this local variable p will be copy pasted into this local variable p of display data, and we are just trying to print the values. Now if you instead of p provide value x, variable x, then over here you need to use x dot name, x dot age, and x dot salary, which is very normal, right? Then after execution, the control will return to main, and after that there are no statements, so the program will end. So what will you get as output? Something like this. Program will ask user to enter three data: full name, age, and salary, and whatever we have entered, same will be printed on the screen, right? So in this program, user is asked to enter the name, age, and salary of a person inside main function. Then the structure variable p is to passed to a function using display data of p. The return type of display data is void, and a single argument of type structure person is passed. Then the member of structure is display from the display data function, right? So you can pass structure as function argument like this. Now if you pass a structure to a function argument, can you return structure from a function? Yes. So how can you return structure from a function? We'll expand the same program, so there is no problem. Same structure. We have same function void display data with one parameter as structure, and we have one more function added to this same program. It's get data function with structure as function argument, and instead of basic data type you can see that it is a structure, right? The return type of the function is structure. Now which type of structure? Structure like person. Okay, so now instead of asking user to enter data into the main function, we are calling the get data function. Okay, so what we have done is we have declared a structure variable p. We are calling the function get data by passing the structure p, and as the get data function is returning a structure, we have written p equals to get data p. Okay, so whatever data is going to be given from the user will be stored into p. Okay, and after that whatever data we have got into this p, we need to display the same data using display data function. So display data is called. So what will happen when get data function is encountered, the value from the user is being asked, that enter the value of name, age, and salary, and at the end you can see that there is a statement return p which matches with the return type of the function, which is person, right? So is now the control will return back to main, then whatever user has entered will be pasted into this local structure p. Okay, then using that structure display data function is called. So the same same data which user has given to the computer or to the program will be printed on the screen. So same output will be generated, but over here we have returned a structure from a function as well, right? So the output of this program is same as the previous program. In this program, the structure variable p of type structure person is defined under main function, The structure variable p is passed to get data function, which takes input from user, which is then written to main function p equals to get data of p. Okay, so I hope you understood up to this lines. Have you guys understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any doubts?
Ma'am, I had a doubt in reference variable.
Yes, please ask.
Ma'am, if we are having a reference variable and a normal variable, so
Hmm.
any change reflected in the value of the reference variable will also reflect the change in the value of the normal variable, right? So
Yes.
can't we say that the reference variable and the normal variable are pointing to the same value?
Yes, it's pointing to same location. Yes.
Yes. So, ma'am, I was telling that only that time when you
Oh,
asked
okay,
about
okay,
reference variable.
okay. I got it now. It's
Okay.
pointing to same location, right?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
the
Same
only
location.
catch is you need to like join those two variables. Your normal variable must be given the reference first.
Yes, ma'am. Like x is equal to ampersand y, and then we can
Exactly.
use y as reference variable.
No. The syntax is data type ampersand reference name equals to existing name.
Okay.
Right, so existing name must be over here in like computer programs, how values are being copy pasted. You write the value on the left hand side in which you want to give the value, right, and on the right hand side we have the value which needs to be copied. So that's why ampersand reference variable is on the left side equals to existing variable. So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
just,
That only x is equal
yeah.
to a value like 455, like float or int x is equal to 455, and
Hmm.
then can we write like this ampersand y, int
Hmm.
ampersand y is equal to x?
Yes, yes,
Yes, ma'am. So I was doing that.
yes, right, that is reference variable. Anybody else has any doubt? Everyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, just a
Ma'am,
minute. Yes.
actually our second and third chapter are not completed.
Second chapter is not completed.
No, ma'am. So Chintan sir is taking actually, I think.
Yeah,
And Ayushi ma'am has started a third chapter in last lecture.
that's why I actually started fourth unit, and fourth unit will be completed on Friday only because it needs only two lectures. One lecture is today, and one will be on Friday. See, after I complete fifth unit, if you have any doubts regarding second and third unit, then let me know. See, first and second unit are all about theories. There is nothing like too much serious. Okay, and